Welcome again to ContoverosSpeaks. I am Michael J. Contos, also known as Contoveros, and I'd like to share with you something I wrote about jury nullification. Jury nullification, mandatory sentence. In at least one country, I would not have been permitted to speak to you about those two terms should you be serving on a jury. You see, the government thought it wiser to keep that information away from you, particularly in the state of Pennsylvania. Some jurors might want to take the law into their own hands, so to speak, and so they told us defense lawyers, no, don't mention that. Jury nullification actually is a way of taking the law in your own hands and nullifying something if you disagree with it. A jury has the power to nullify a law it does not want to follow. You understand that? If you feel that the law would be unjust, then you can simply not follow it. Can anyone spell anarchy? Well, that's what would happen if every juror that was sworn in decided not to uphold the law. But I'm not talking about every case. I'm just talking about an exceptional one where 12 people agree that the application of the law would cause more harm than good. It kind of goes along with what we call mandatory sentences. Defense lawyers in the state of Pennsylvania are not permitted to tell a jury that their verdict would lead to a mandatory outcome, no matter what the jury might have been led to believe. Studies show that most juries believe defendants usually end up with a light sentence, something like probation or something that is minimal. But state legislators throughout the country have wanted to ensure that no lenient judge could ever get away with not sending someone away, no matter what the circumstances for a given offense. A lot of mandatory sentences have to do with crimes against victims of certain age. Do you know if you strike a child of a certain age, the law mandates that you serve at least 1 year in jail, no matter what? Unless the prosecutor agrees to demandatorize a sentence, a babysitter 18 or older slapping a child of a certain age must serve 365 days in jail upon conviction, at least in part of the country where I'm talking about. A young man who is led to believe that a young female he spent the night with was over a certain age faces a similar mandatory sentence. It's called statutory rape, no matter what lies the person under 14 had offered, or the lack of the intent to commit any crime when he had consensual sex. Most may say the son of a bitch deserves it, unless it becomes a member of your own family, a close friend, or, God forbid, yourself. I was shocked when I learned a person who simply possessed a certain amount of marijuana could be charged with a felony for selling dope. People I knew in my teens often purchased an ounce or more of grass. If they put the grass in small Ziploc packets for later use or convenience, the packaging of the marijuana itself could lead to what we call a rebuttable presumption that it was for the intent to deliver. Well, a jury could disregard that law if it found it fit. But I was never allowed to tell a jury in Philadelphia that it had such a power. Not permitted to even mention mandatory sentences, or I'd face contempt charges by the judge. Sentencing is not in the province of a jury. Only guilt or innocence is what the judge would instruct me after my imprisonment, monetary fine, or maybe both. I could not tell a jury in America that landmark cases such as those involving William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, or a fellow named John Peter Zenger, a New York printer, whose case stood for freedom of the press and truth as against libel, were kept from imprisonment because the jury saw that it was fit not to impose a guilty sentence. They decided not to follow the law. They felt that the law was unfair, and so they voted in spite of the law. A dream I had last night inspired me to whisper this piece of advice to you should you ever serve on a jury. Go ahead. Disregard the law if you, in all your good conscience, feels that it's the right thing to do. It really is the American way, no matter what my government won't allow me to tell you. Take care, and we'll be talking with you later. Good luck.